And we're off to the races. Well, guys, I am deeply surprised, as surprised as some of you guys will be, because I have another great actor in the house today, a powerhouse. The guy's a juggernaut, man. This guy has, you know what? He went from rags to riches, and his name happens to be Rich. I am very enriched by his presence. He's one dude I met on set. And way back when, and we stayed in contact. Although for a while there, I know he had some medical, problems that hit a couple of snags. But we're going to talk all about that when we unpack everything we need to talk about tonight. So, thank you so much for subscribing. By the way, I have over 302 and counting subscribers, and that's really cool within 8 months. So it's not too bad. I really appreciate it. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you for supporting this podcast, the Almost Famous Radio podcast. You're the ones that make it happen. I'm just here. I'm just the chatterbox. But on with the show. I'm super delighted to have this powerhouse in the house. Juggernaut, the guy is unbelievable. I can't say enough things. And my man, I really appreciate your service.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? Guy, we're going to talk about the branch of the military the young man's about. And I know you have so much to talk about today, guys. Let's give it up for the one and only Rich Sands in the house.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
How you like that?
Well, my name, Rich Sands, is apropos because it's better than poor dirt. So
I like that, dude.
Yeah,
I love it, man. I like it. How you doing, man? How are you, bro? It's been a while.
Awesome, yeah.
It's
good seeing you. Last time I saw you was at Islands in Culver City there.
Yeah, we were hanging out with my son, and I said, I know this guy. That's a famous actor right there.
And then you said my name. I'm like, I know this guy. And then it took me a moment to dawn, because when you see someone in a place that you don't normally see them, it takes a moment to recognize them and register and everything.
Right.
So.
We, obviously we met at the Eye of the Empress with Sanjini, our good friend Sanjini Bhakta, who I can't say enough great things about.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. She's
fantastic.
Yeah.
She works hard at what she does. Director, writer, actress. I mean, kung fu master. I mean, it's like 100, and she'll beat anybody's ass. I mean, I don't know about your ass, but she'll beat my ass. So no, I don't think so. But she's pretty tough. And she has a big heart. And so shout out to our good friend Sanjini Bhakta, which brings me to my next thing. My man, from construction to Hollywood, dude. I mean, bro, dude, that is nuts how you just went from, you didn't go from like the orthodox kind of way, the general rule by most accounts, or by every account that I have until I met you, has been, including myself, has been like you work, you toil hard, not that you don't, but I'm saying you work hard at the theaters, the local theaters. You do, you go up the ladder, you go to acting classes, you work on the craft, and then you throw it out there, you see what sticks, and if it doesn't stick, you keep going and you keep auditioning, and it's just like rat race that we play. But you, my friend, have an interesting story because you owned your own construction company back since 1990. And then, you always wanted to be an actor, but then you decided to go the construction via, and then you didn't, your construction company somehow, the way the world, the stars conspired, God placed you in the right places, where you always somehow ended up working with the who's who of Hollywood. And it was within that vein, and during which time a guy by the name, a wonderful guy, was a former agent. We're going to talk more about it because I want you to explain this whole thing. And correct me if I'm wrong, George Wallach. And then he helped kind of shape you and said, hey, you have actor good looks, so you ought to come with me, and I'll make you a star. Tell us how that unfolded.
Well, I mean, okay, so the job that I was on in the Hollywood Hills, I was remodeling a house, and that day was the day that the U.S. got lost in the World Cup, and it was 2014. And I was sweating copper, putting a new water service to the house on the back of my pickup truck. And this Mercedes pulls up. And this older gentleman gets out, and he kept looking at me as he's walking up to the house. He's going to the house I'm working on because he's going to meet with the owner, my client.
Right.
And so he goes in, and I'm like thinking, who is this guy? What's going on? It's Hollywood, creepy, right? So he's in there for about an hour or so, and I'm still out there working. All of a sudden he comes out, and instead of going to his car, he comes walking towards me. And as he walks up, I was like thinking, okay, what's he gonna say? I'm thinking, Hollywood. And he comes up, he goes, "Excuse me, but I was wondering, I have a hot date tonight. Can I borrow your arms?" that was his opening joke, right? And then he goes, we laugh and everything. And he goes, "My name is George Wallach. I'm an agent."
Yeah.
And when I pulled up and I saw you, I said to myself, that guy looks like he should be in movies.
Right.
And so he goes, "Are you interested in being movies? Do you want to be an actor?" I go, "Yes, absolutely. I've wanted to, for my whole life, probably."
Wow. All those roads led to that one moment, right?
And going backwards, that job, in 2006, I started working for Betsy Beers.
Okay.
She's the executive producer of Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, How to Get Away with
shows,
Murder,
bro.
Bridgerton, all these shows. So I built 3 houses
shows.
for her.
Oh, okay.
From 2006 to 2016. Okay. I worked for her exclusively. And I tried to get on her shows. She had nothing, didn't want to do any of that.
Right.
Wouldn't help anybody for anything, Super nice lady, but she does not help people.
Right.
Is
that like a matter-of-factly kind of thing where it's what she does and that's it, and she's not gonna, her heart doesn't break for anybody?
No, she doesn't give anybody breaks.
Yeah.
So she never got me on any of the shows. But the job I was at was referred to them from her.
Wow.
So she referred that construction job. So then I went there.
So she helped you.
in a sense, she helped me in the construction field.
Right.
She didn't want to help me in the acting field, but in the construction field.
That led you to George Wallach.
Yeah. Who was, Bruce Jenner's agent back in the 70s.
Uh-huh.
He worked in New York under Larry Auerbach and with Ron Meyer and Michael Ovitz.
No less.
And Ron Meyer and Michael Ovitz came to L.A. and created CAA.
Right. Come on, man.
And Ron Meyer was Stallone's agent through the 90s. And then he became chairman of Universal Pictures.
So did George Wallach ever say, "Hey, when he first met you, have you been eating your Wheaties?"
Yeah. No, he didn't. But we talked about Bruce
Right.
and how much I admired Bruce, because in the 76 Olympics, I was on a little farm boy in Canada on a farm.
Right.
And I was a little chubby kid.
Right.
And he, got me. I was just starting to work out because a girl in high school in 7th grade had, broken my heart. And so I was starting to work out. So I was just learning. I was watching the Olympics. I was watching him, and I wanted to be like him. He was
fire under your feet.
He was like a hero of mine.
Right.
So I watched his competitions and everything. And so I started working out like that with an intensity.
Right.
To get in shape. Because this girl who basically accidentally insulted me. But it's been a driving force under my skin for 40-something years, that I was 12 years old when she said, she basically called me fat in class in front of everybody. And this girl I had a mad crush on. She was the most beautiful little Italian girl. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. And it just broke me. And ever since then, I've had this desire never to be fat, never to be out of shape. I obsess with working out, with eating right. Yeah. And that's at 62 years old.
You're 62?
Yes.
Holy mother of God. Guys, he's 62.
And that's what kept me
really good, bro.
And that's what got me the attention of George Wallach, was my look. Yeah. My physical appearance. When I met Ron Meyer, I had a meeting with Ron Meyer at Universal.
So you had a meeting with Ron Meyer?
Yeah, at the top of the Lou Wasserman building at Gate 1 of Universal Studios.
Yeah. Holy moly.
It was great. We pulled up to the gate, so we got a meeting with Ron. They asked me, so where do I park? They pointed, see those orange cones? You're going to park over there. There's no parking spot. They just put orange cones expecting me to park there.
They're expecting you.
So we go up there, and Ron Meyer, him and George were reminiscing about the old days a little bit, talking about things. And then finally, Ron looks at me. He goes, George, you're right. He looks like he should be in movies. And then he looks at me, he goes, Rich, what I see for you is I see a leading man or a really good bad guy.
Yeah, really good bad
guy. And
for sure.
I was like, those are the words I wanted to hear. And he goes, you know, 'cause you got a really aggressive appearance. And that is what, before the pandemic, auditioning in the room,
Right.
I loved it because I would go in there and my presence, I could feel them change. When I walked in the room, I could see the eyes, I could see the emotion,
brooding eyes,
and they're just the way they were looking at me. I had them.
Yeah, you knew.
So when I went to play a tough guy,
there's a presence about you.
Exactly.
Rich, there is.
You know, I'm 6'1", 220 pounds of muscle. I walk in and they look at me like, oh shit, this is the guy. Then the pandemic came and everything became self-tapes.
Everything blew to smithereens.
All that's gone.
Because it's a one-shot deal, right? It's
the casting directors do not direct casting anymore. They're like more like casting designers. They pick clips and they present to the production. Production picks the clip and that's it. So they're not directing auditions
so it's
anymore.
like a lost art. You know, like in the olden days, they would redirect you. Why don't you try it this way?
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
which they would look at me. I would typecast myself for the roles I submitted for, and I had a high book rate before the pandemic because I was typecasting myself. So I'd go in the room and I would have the lines down. I knew exactly what I was doing, so I could perform. Then they would give me some direction, and I would make the change. And that would get solidified the role. So I remember one weekend I auditioned 4 times at 4 different things. I got all 4 parts.
Wow.
And that hasn't happened.
Callbacks and then boom, 4 callbacks.
Boom, boom, boom,
You're
boom.
knocking them out of the park.
It was great. I was on a roll. I was able to quit construction. I had enough money put aside. I was making enough money to survive. I didn't need to work construction anymore. I felt I had made it. And then the pandemic came.
Shut everything down.
Shut everything down. All the projects I had all lined up, all canceled.
Because didn't you have like an NBC show that you were getting ready to work on?
It was supposed to be a show that was going to film in the East Coast.
Okay.
I signed a lucrative contract. It immediately got postponed again and again because not only because of the pandemic, but because of it was in Sag Harbor in I forget the area back there. The rich area back in New York.
Okay.
The Hamptons. There was the wharf there was going under construction, so that was going to be part of the main focus of filming. It was around the wharf.
Okay,
and so that just kept getting pushed back and back, and I just think it fell apart. Now we were supposed to film last year, and it just.
Let me ask you this: so you meet this wonderful guy that sort of is like a genie, you know, in a bottle, and then boom, makes your dreams come true. You become. What's your first film that you landed? And you didn't land a small film, right? Like, this is a kind of the big times. You had big actors in this first film, right?
Yeah. What it was like the first thing that I filmed was a student film.
The student film.
I did because George. The first thing George did was he had the big meeting up at the outdoor. The grill up on Laurel Canyon in Ventura there. They used to be up on the 2nd floor.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it, something grill. So I walk up the stairs there, and outside there's a long table with all these people sitting at this table.
I know. It's across the street from, is it Laurel Canyon or Coldwater?
Laurel Canyon.
Laurel Canyon, the grill. Yeah, I do remember the grill. Yeah, I do.
And so all these people were there. And when I walked up, everybody starts cheering, you know, I'm like, holy shit. And so we get out there, go there, and they had me sit at the head of the table. And there was all these people from different production producers, some managers, and it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe the attention I was getting, right? So,
mad attention. I love it.
One of the management companies there signed me. And so I right there, manager right there on the spot. And then this other producer lady had just bought the rights to a series of crime novels, and she was pitching the role, the head detective role, to Mark Ruffalo.
Oh wow!
And she goes, but after watching you walk up the stairs and walk here, I think you'd do a better job doing the role. And I was like, okay, I'm excited about that. So I don't know what happened with that.
That's
Typical
interesting,
Hollywood,
man. Yeah,
you know,
things fall apart all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's happened a
lot.
Yeah,
which is insane. And if I may just jump in real quick, it's insane that you have been able to catch quite a bit of breaks, you know, and then. Yeah, so a lot has happened, and you've been able to back land a lot of cool. You work with a lot of cool people, like Tom Sizemore, a good friend of mine,
Uh-huh.
and you know, I've known him for years. God rest his soul.
Yeah.
A
So
true
his
tragedy.
sad
Yeah,
tale, his
sad,
life,
sad. And
you know.
and then you also work with Andy Dick, which
Yeah,
was really cool, right?
Yeah, that's
'Cause
funny.
we,
Yeah,
I think you and I had just talked about Andy
probably.
at the on set, and then you were working on something with him a while back, and then you work with somebody else. I'm just saying the people that we have in common. And then it was
Yeah.
who else was the other actor you worked? Oh wait, you worked with Mickey Rourke.
Well,
Yeah.
that movie was called Weaponized,
Okay.
and that was in June of May of 2015. It was the first big movie I worked on,
Right.
and that had Mickey Rourke, Tom Sizemore, Michael Pare,
Mm-hmm.
who I've worked with a couple times now. He in the movie Red Tide Massacre, he plays the sheriff, and I'm the bad guy.
You turned into a monster or
I
something?
turned into
Yeah.
a monster. Yeah. It was good. It was fun. It was
That's
directed by
fantastic.
John Russo, who wrote Night of the Living
No
Dead.
shit.
Yep.
What?
Yeah, it was
Dude,
great working with him. What a legend. What a
Yeah.
and he gave me such liberties. All my kill scenes
Yeah.
I choreographed. He let me.
Really? So he's
and-
not dogmatic of like
No,
you know
no.
sticking to the book.
Like
or,
there's one of the scenes I totally came up with the scene for the movie. Like I think
Well,
to
I'll
kill
be
these
darned.
to
That's
kill these two
crazy.
people, let's do it this way. And they loved the idea.
Yeah.
And the stunts, I did the stunts. In
Beautiful.
that movie I did all my own stunts.
Well, creative liberties is something great. I mean, for
Yeah.
an actor, right?
Yeah,
'Cause-
yeah. A talented director,
Yeah.
a smart director will know, looking at the actor, what his capabilities are, and like I know my limitations, I know my abilities, I know what I can do.
Right.
So I can push that envelope, I can push the limit, and I can perform above and beyond what they would normally allow an actor to do because of that. So yeah, I did some painful, stunts, but it makes the movie look better.
Yeah, it does.
And I survived. It's not a big deal. No broken bones, no cuts.
You're here.
Yeah.
But you did have some medical snags. Like, let's talk about
Well, that
You had
was
a-
last year. Yeah.
that's life. This is a few years
Yeah.
later,
Yeah.
and you're here, man, and
Yeah.
you look good.
Well,
I gotta say.
Okay. So all the years of working, I started lifting weights when I was 12 years old. I started playing hockey when I was 6 years old. I've always been very focused and extreme in everything I do. I used to run 10 miles a day every morning. I'd go work construction. I'd be at the gym at 2:30 working out for 2 hours. Then I'd go play hockey every night. It was just grueling, and that wore out my hip.
Yeah,
Also, I'll
yeah.
throw in the martial arts, black
Yeah, because
belt in Taekwondo.
you're a martial artist. Yeah, I forgot
and
to throw that in. Guys,
exactly.
martial artists. I don't want to mess with you.
So
Just go easy on me, bro.
absolutely. So yeah, it wore me out. So for the last 3 years, my left hip was just excruciating painful. And what I didn't know was all that inside my heart, between the two atrium chambers, the wall between the two atrium chambers had a hole.
Oh, dear
And it's a birth defect. 1 in 4 people have this hole. Everyone is born with it, and 75% of the people, the hole closes up within a year.
Okay.
Mine never closed up. So because of all my extreme exercising, the hole grew.
Right.
So finally to the point now where a small little blood clot that normally gets pumped into the heart and then pumped out to the body where it naturally dissolves, it's a daily occurrence for all of
Yeah.
us, went through that hole and got pumped in my brain instead.
Holy mother. God,
And it caused a
dude.
stroke.
Jeez. I'm
March
sorry to
12th
hear
last
that.
year, I had a
Yeah.
stroke. I was at 7-Eleven to get my coffee. I went into the bathroom to take a leak. I couldn't pull up my pants. I couldn't zip it. I had no strength in my left hand.
Yeah.
My left hand felt like it wasn't even there. And I couldn't even grab toilet paper,
Nothing.
So I'd use my right hand for everything. I had to figure out a way to button up my pants.
Did you call 911 or somebody?
So I'm in the bathroom. Finally, I open the door. I grab the keys, and I go out, and I walk to hang the keys back up, and there's no keys. I dropped them in the bathroom because I didn't feel it. So then I go, I'm like thinking, okay, this will pass. So I walk over to grab a coffee cup, put it in my left hand, and I go to the cup's gone. It's on the ground. And then I realize something's wrong. So I walk outside, and outside is Peter, who works at 7-Eleven. I've known for 30 years, because I've been going to that 7-Eleven for 30 years.
Right.
I go to tell him, Peter, I dropped the keys in the bathroom. But all I could do is like, yeah. That's all I could do.
Right.
I couldn't, and I
Your
realized,
faculties start.
stroke. I was able to get my keys out of my pocket with my right hand, opened the car door, called 911. The LAFD came, took me straight to UCLA Medical Center. And yeah, I had 4 strokes that day.
Holy mother of God.
That I had more CAT scans and MRIs in that week. And they were looking for the reason.
It was that portal you had almost. It was a huge hole.
But the silver lining is that they did every test possible to see why I had a stroke. They found that there's nothing wrong with me. They couldn't figure it out until the very last test where they did the ultrasound on my heart and they put bubbles in there to see what the bubbles would do inside the heart. That's when they found the hole. But I'm very happy that I have no artery clogs. I have nothing wrong. There's nothing. So that is a clean bill of health in that regards. So they end up patching the hole in December. Total success. I was back to playing hockey in January.
Beautiful. You do that every Sunday, don't you?
Every Sunday.
With some famous guy you hang out with?
Tim Robbins plays.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. And so in September 24th, I had the hip replacement, which I'm so glad I did. Oh my God, it's wonderful. Thanksgiving weekend, I was back to running.
Beautiful.
And I was on Thanksgiving Day. I went for a run at the beach in Santa Monica, and I felt so good. I'm like, you know what? Sunday I'm playing hockey again.
Yeah.
So
let's get back.
So it was literally 2 months after my surgery. I'm back to playing hockey. So I was able to play for a couple of weeks before my December 12th surgery. After that, then I took about a little over a month off after the heart surgery before I started playing hockey. But I've been playing it since the end of January now.
You bounce back, man.
Yeah.
You're prolific. You do a bunch of stuff, and the fact that you're just able to your resilience, man. You know.
Well, I played in '93. I was drafted to play professional roller hockey.
Yeah, wow, I didn't know that.
I played ice hockey my whole life. I used to play hockey.
You're Canadian.
Yeah, I'm Canadian.
But you lived in New York for a while.
Yeah,
like most of your childhood and teenage years.
The teenage years.
Yeah.
The teenage years. The end of elementary school and high school.
And then when you started having aspirations to be an actor, and then you decided to come out to LA?
No, it's weird. I've always wanted to be an actor. Whenever I watch TV, I always wanted to do that. I want to be that. I want to do that.
Right.
So when I after high school, I wanted to be an architect. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to play professional hockey. I wanted to either go play junior hockey, but my parents wouldn't support me to do that.
Right.
After high school, so I wanted to go to college. I had a hockey program that was competitive hockey that would get me noticed by the scouts.
Nice.
My dad reneged on paying for my college, and so I ended up joining the Marines.
I got nixed.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, fine. You took care of my older brother, sent him to, did everything for my older brother, won't do anything for me. Fine, I'm off to the Marines.
Amen to that.
So I joined the Marines.
Thanks for your service, brother.
Oh, thanks.
My uncle went to the Marines also.
Yeah.
He was in the Navy.
Thank the Navy. We're thankful for them.
Yeah.
They give us rides everywhere. So when I was in the Marines, I was stationed out here in California at 29 Palms. I used to come up to LA on the weekends, and I was like, you know what? I ain't going back to Rochester.
Hell no. After playing in that casino, 29 Palms, you're like, there's no way it's nice and warm.
Yeah.
SoCal.
So I, when I got out, instead of driving home, I drove to LA here. I was homeless in my car, but this is where I wanted to live. And I tried to be an actor in '84 when I got out of the Marines, but it was different. There was, there were so many scams. Pay $1,500. We'll give you headshots. We'll get you.
The Powers. Did you go to the Powers place where they would have you walk down and hey, give me your name, and it's like it's gonna be $2,500.
Yeah, all kinds of different things. Yeah. Faces International, all these different places. So I got discouraged. I worked starting construction in '87. I ended up working for a woman. She was a big time soap opera star, Kate Linders.
Okay, wow.
And she actually submitted me to audition for the new Tarzan show that was coming out because I had long hair. I was dark tan. I was in really good shape back then. So she tried to get me an audition for Tarzan. I also worked for
because you were a stage manager for XYZ.
XYZ. I started that in '85.
Hair band, baby. Love the hair band.
Yeah, the most prolific band ever on the Sunset Strip. And
absolutely.
they didn't make it after the Sunset Strip so big. They had 2 albums. The first album had Inside Out, which was a moderate hit that still gets played all the time on the Hair Nation.
Yeah, Hair Nation
On the XM radio.
XM radio.
And so the first album was produced by Don Dokken.
Dokken, the band Dokken.
Dokken, the singer Don
huge,
Dokken. Yeah.
Huge. I'm a huge Dokken
super
fan.
nice guy.
Yeah.
Awesome dude.
You know, it's another great band, just like XYZ. It's within that same vein, is Armored Saint.
Armored Saints, yeah.
They're from LA. They're from back east. Well, East LA anyway. South Pasadena, East LA. What a man. Dude, I gotta look into XYZ because I'm just trying
they have fantastic.
Yeah.
Every song on their album is so good.
Yeah.
It's like the problem is their album came out at the end of '89.
Yeah.
We toured. Our first tour was opening for Ted Nugent.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome freaking event.
Ted Nugent, baby.
He was awesome. He's a super good guy.
Yeah,
super
good
good guy.
huh?
And it was funny in January.
Is he really a hunter?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, he has his guns and everything with him in backstage in a big case and everything.
Yeah.
In January at the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium every year was the KNAC Children of the Night benefit show.
That's so wild.
And Great White was headlining.
The guys that burned.
Yeah, this was before that. Though.
Yeah.
This was January 1990. XYZ was the co-headliner right on there, and then opening for them was Macaulay Schenker, which was Michael Schenker with Robin Macaulay. Because it was MSG.
Yeah.
And then Damn Yankees.
The Damn Yankees.
Ted Nugent was opening for XYZ after we opened for them.
Can you take me higher?
That's right. Yeah. And so.
Oh no, that's a different. It's higher, but it's.
Yeah.
I went ahead and did some whole other thing here.
It happens. There's so much music out there, so many songs. It's so easy to convolute them all.
It's convoluted. You said the right word.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was great. To do that. But like so, Don Dokken showed up and they
wait. Let me right the wrong. Can you take me high enough? That's Damn Yankees.
No.
Yeah, that's the song. Right?
Okay,
continue.
Yeah, so there's that, and it's fun. Well, while we were opening for Ted Nugent,
this is getting really good, you guys.
It's he had his kids there, right? Because we're in Michigan.
Okay.
And backstage, one of his kids burped, and Ted goes, "What do you call that?"
Shoot. Belching.
Well, at least do it with some pride, some effort. Don't
do it with some conviction. Damn it.
So then the kid burped again a little harder. Then Ted's like, "Yeah, that's the way."
That's my boy.
So
sounds just like him.
So
man.
It's funny. I was the burper of within the group band. We were at an Italian restaurant here in LA once, and the place was packed. And we're at a big table, and I let out a huge burp.
Yep.
The whole restaurant clapped, right? So backstage at the Children of the Night concert, we're back in the XYZ's dressing room.
Yeah.
Ted walks in.
No shit.
And Mark, the guitar player, elbows him and goes, "Rich, give him a burp." I give a loud ass belch.
Yeah.
And Ted goes, "Wow, that was great. Let me shake your hand."
Yeah.
So then Mark goes, "What the fuck was that? Come on, you can do better than that." I let out even better. You could hear it reverberated. It was everybody was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
Ted looks at me, goes, "Oh my God, are we related? Did I fuck your mother?"
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I almost said, "Dad." I mean, it was such a compliment. It was so great. It was great.
Dude,
but
that's fantastic.
That's how Ted was. Ted was a really cool, fun, down-to-earth guy.
Dude, what other rockers did you meet? Now we're on this. You not understand I'm like a huge rock fan.
Well, we opened up with for Alice Cooper. We did an event in Pittsburgh with Alice Cooper.
Because you're
Joe Satriani
running through my veins.
Oh, Poison's a great song.
Great song.
Yeah.
And then, really?
Yeah. There's who else did we play with?
What about GNR, Guns N' Roses?
We played in '87 at the Whiskey A Go Go with GNR.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and it was funny is when the last time I was on the Heidi and Frank show,
July in KLOS,
Grace McKagan was working as a like what do you call those, intern for
Okay.
Heidi and Frank.
McKagan, that's the
Duff McKagan's daughter.
no kidding.
Yeah,
Oh
Grace.
my God.
So
full
I sat and
circle.
talked with her for about a half hour. While we're
Unbelievable.
talking, I told
Yeah.
her about XYZ and opening for Guns N' Roses at the Whiskey.
Beautiful.
She texts her dad and says, "Hey, I'm with Richie," and she told him the whole story. He says, "Hey, tell him I said hey," you know.
Wow, that's so rad,
Yeah,
dude. That is so cool.
Yeah, it's
the
Duff,
perks,
and I
the
gotta
perks
tell you,
of the
Grace
gig.
is the biggest sweetheart. Okay, Duff McKagan is a great father.
Uh-huh.
Great father,
Yeah.
because the daughter he raised is. If I had a daughter, I want her to be like her.
Yeah.
She, the sweetest, softest, nicest person.
Thank you, C. Appreciate it. That's our producer.
Right.
Go ahead. Mhm.
You wouldn't know that she came from money, that her father was a multimillionaire with one of the biggest bands, you know, in rock and roll. She's phenomenal. So I have to give my hat off to Duff McKagan and his wife, who was a successful, gorgeous model herself.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That they raised such a wonderful daughter.
That's
that,
beautiful.
You know, yeah.
Have they stayed married this whole time?
Yeah,
You know, really
yeah.
longevity. Huh? 'Cause
Great
that's not a
relationship.
thing. It's not a thing in rock and roll.
No, they're really solid, great
It's
couple,
good.
good parents. Yeah. So yeah.
Who else did you meet? Did you meet David Lee Roth? Because I have a David Lee Roth story.
No, I never got a chance to meet them.
But you like Van Halen.
Van Halen's my number one favorite.
So I'll tell you a
band.
quick story. So I was a limo driver for many years, as you know.
Right.
And I'm at LAX. This is maybe midnight. It's like a red eye that the client's taking, and they arrive, right? But they're I'm hoping to God that they get there a little later, because I spotted this guy with the sign with the placards that reads Lee Roth. And dude, I'm thinking, could it possibly be David Lee Roth? So, you know, I'm like so giddy, you know, I'm thinking, dude, David Lee Roth's gonna come right through there. And so I go over to the guy, Russian man, and he was an older gentleman. I was like, excuse me, do you know what's the passenger's first name? By any chance, is it Rob or is it David? You know, just screwing around with him. And he goes, oh, it's Mr. David Lee Roth. And I'm like, oh, David Lee Roth, do you not know who that is? No, I don't know who that is. I think he's a plumber. He's some kind of famous plumber. So when David Lee Roth came out, yo, what's up, baby? Yo, he talks.
Yeah.
Yo, you taking me home? Let's go, ready to rock and roll. I go, actually, it's not me. It's this guy. I told him you're a plumber. And he goes, let's keep it that way, baby.
Yeah.
Hope to see you soon, man.
Yeah.
Keep on rocking the free world, baby.
Yeah, no,
and that was it.
He's a funny dude.
He's a showman, man, the whole time, right? It's like, you know, he's always on, and I love that. But anyway, so I'm interested in the stories where, oh man, where does time go? I really want to dig deep. Also, let's talk about real quick. Let's go back to Heidi and Frank. Heidi and Frank.
Okay, I go everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, no, I love it because you're talking to me. I had no idea. Yeah. I love rock, dude. I worship rock all my life. Listened to a lot of metal. Picked up guitar here and there. So how was that? You went a second time to promote a movie. Let's talk about that. Didn't you go promote a movie?
Well, the first time I was there I was promoting Red Tide Massacre. Even the second time I was there I wasn't there to promote anything. Even though I did re-promote Red Tide Massacre, I was there. I took Heidi and Frank the Tom Cruise cake.
Right.
You know,
what was that like? Tell me.
Well, I found out where Tom Cruise gets the cake that he sends off. And it's called Doan's Bakery on Ventura Boulevard in Woodland Hills.
Oh, dude, that's not far from me. I live in Woodland Hills.
It's right between Shoup and Fallbrook on Ventura Boulevard.
No kidding, right there. Oh my God, dude. Yeah.
And so I found out where it goes. I went and got one day. Ate it. Oh my God.
It's next level.
It's the only cake I will ever eat now.
Really?
I look at other cake and it's like
so decadent. I want to go have some.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's heavenly.
So I decided to take it to share it, and I told a story, and I'm friends with Johnny from the show, and I had showed him the video on YouTube of Henry Cavill when he received the cake, and him and his friend were talking about it, and Henry didn't want to eat it because he figured it was garbage because it came from Tom Cruise. It had to be super healthy and nasty. And the friend goes, let's eat it. Yeah. And Henry says, yeah. So we ate it, and I ended up eating the whole thing. It was so good, decadent,
it's Superman, right?
Yeah,
he plays Superman.
Yeah.
So then that became definitely a place for you to look into, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So I got it. So I ended up going there. It was Heidi's birthday.
So it's our kryptonite, huh?
Yeah.
Soon. When I
Yeah.
go, I'm gonna go eat. I'm gonna go try it out.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. Let's go. In between. Let's say, you giving up acting, because I have here in the notes that you gave up acting for some time, and then you started your construction company. In between that, was there ever like an inkling of perhaps I might get into it later? You didn't altogether rest your shoes and sort of like hang them up,
It
right?
was always a fantasy. It was always a
Right.
dream. And you know what's ironic
Uh,
is that ever since I came to LA, no matter where I'm at, no matter what I'm doing, I'm sitting someplace. I'll be sitting at a bar by myself,
yeah.
and there'll be people on the side of me. At some point, they'll always look at me.
Like you're
Excuse me,
somebody.
what have I
Yeah.
seen you in?
Right.
Everywhere, no matter for 30
Yeah.
years, people ask
Yeah.
me, what have I
Yeah.
seen you in?
I thought the exact same thing when I first met you on set.
Yeah.
And that dude looks like he's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You
I
know what I
got
mean?
that for so long that it's like, I want to capitalize on that.
Yeah, you should.
And I tried,
And
I've been trying.
you've been getting a lot of roles, dude. Like
I
you
was
see,
getting a
yeah.
lot of roles.
But it's a dry. Sometimes it's like a feast or famine. Like since you're on top, since you're bust, it's part of the business. Let's talk a little bit about the business here in LA. Things have gotten a little. I mean,
It's the auditioning.
yeah.
That's the problem is the auditioning. And like when I was in person, I loved it. I get in there.
Yeah.
I'm 6'1", 220 pounds, so I typecast myself for the roles I was going for. So when I walk in the room, it automatically trigger in the brain. That's the guy. He looks like the guy. And I auditioned for Robert Zemeckis. He was doing a short film for a presentation to try to get funding for a full feature film.
Okay.
So I went in there, and it was to play an ex-CIA guy, who was ex-military,
Right up your alley.
who goes rogue, ends up taking over the new moon colony.
Okay.
All right. So there's two scenes. There was one scene where I was just sitting down on a couch talking with some his work partner's kid as an intimidation thing, right? So there was that scene. The second scene was he's giving a speech at the moon to all the people that are there visiting.
Yeah.
It's a full page. And I think it was a page and a half of just a speech, and had all this nerdy space lingo, words that they made up,
Yeah.
terminology they made up. But I spent so much time preparing. So what happened was when I got in there, I was sitting down. So I asked them, "Is it okay if I stand up to do this?" They go, "Absolutely, go ahead, do it." So I stood up. I took the script. I walked forward, dropped it on the table, stepped back, and did the scene.
Off book.
Off book. When I was done, they all clapped.
Yeah.
I didn't get that part. The person they picked, I don't know why they picked him. He looked nothing like the character's description at all. But it was the one of the writers really wanted that guy, whereas this other producer the director wanted me. So, but the writer had his claws into it more so than the
Right.
director had.
Yes. Yes.
Robert was just there. It wasn't his project. He was just part of the project.
Right.
He wasn't a decision maker.
He was
on this.
attached to it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
That was
I
the
think
extent
because
of it.
these people work with him in his production company, so they were spearheading it with
Right.
his assistants.
Right.
So it was going to be under his umbrella, but it was leaving it up to them to decide what to do and how to do it.
Right.
So I got two smaller parts in it. I played two different people. Which is,
So weren't you in a film with J-Lo recently? Or
the movie Atlas.
okay,
Yes.
that's a Netflix flick.
Netflix, yeah. It was a Netflix film, high budget, big
Mhm.
budget. And I have one scene with J-Lo.
That's cool.
And it's like when I was, she was coming out the side, I was expecting all this stupidity, right?
Mhm.
And nonsense. She had nobody around her, just by herself, walked in on set in her costume outfit. And so I'm like, she had to do the walk from this building out to where we have like this, it's like a spaceship, right? So she had to do that walk, and so I go to her. I go, I hope they didn't make that bag too heavy for you. And she laughs. She goes, no, I didn't. So then we just started chit chat and everything. Super nice.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, she had
Yeah.
smiled at me first to to make me open up to say something to her.
You're
You-
pompous, bro. I
yeah.
love that about you.
Yeah, and so it was like, so I have a good impression of J Lo.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and smoking hot, super. She did not have glamour makeup on. She had the bare minimum makeup for this because that was not her character. It was not a glamour in any way, shape, or form. She had very little makeup on. So gorgeous, so beautiful.
You're mesmerized.
Oh yeah, and so I had the one scene, but it got cut.
What?
Yeah, I watched it, and they're like, they cut the scene.
Oh, dear
Yeah,
Lord.
yeah. There was a lot of the things that they edited on there that we filmed for 3 days. That one of these opening scenes where they go into this apartment building, go up to the 3rd floor to capture this big cyborg.
Uh-huh.
We filmed for 3 days. We went actually to the studios and rehearsed with stunt crew. We all rehearsed everything we're doing for that before we went on set for 3 days. So we knew exactly what we were doing because we had already rehearsed everything we were doing. And they ended up cutting most of it. It was a shame because there was a
That is a
lot of
shame.
great stuff that we filmed.
Yeah,
And
that is a
and-
shame, man.
And then, it's like in Fast 10, I have 2 scenes.
Okay.
Well, 2 segments. One segment is at the Toretto house after Charlize Theron is taken away in an ambulance. I'm outside where they take Charlize Theron, and Scott Eastwood pulls up. And so there's a scene part where Scott is walk up, he stops, I'm walking up, he looks at me, I nod my head and I motion to the house, and he nods his head and he goes
That's
up.
cool, man.
They cut that out. Then
What?
there's where there's the fight scene inside with John Cena,
Yeah.
who now follows me on
John Cena.
yeah,
I'm going to see him. He's
Twitter.
retiring, you know?
Yeah.
He's retiring. I'm going to go see him at WrestleMania 41 in Vegas.
Well, he
so
follows
pretty
me
excited
on,
about that.
Yeah, Twitter.
His
I
son
couldn't
and
believe
I.
that. One day I woke up, John Cena follows. I checked, it's the real John Cena.
That's
He
so
started following me
beautiful.
on Twitter.
Beautifully
After
done.
that, it did that because the fight scene where he fights with all the guys.
Mhm.
I'm one of those guys that gets his ass beat. So, but and so there's that. And then there's the after credit scene with The Rock.
Oh, cool.
So I'm the
Yeah, I
number.
like those after credit scenes.
I'm the lead SWAT guy in black with The
Okay.
Rock has his hand on my shoulder as we're walking in.
Beautiful.
Well, we filmed for 18 hours, filming all this maneuver stuff, all
Yeah.
this great stuff, and it was to build tension before
Right.
The Rock walks into the theater and sees all the TV screens with Jason Momoa and all that
Sure,
stuff.
sure.
He talks to Jason Momoa on the phone. Well, they cut it all out.
It's
I'm like,
Hollywood at its finest, guys.
It's stupid because there was no tension build up. It
No.
was just, okay, they're entering the theater. Oh, there's The Rock walking up the stage.
Yeah.
They could have increased it.
Sure.
But it's and The Rock's an idiot, a-hole.
Right.
It's like they wouldn't let us near him.
Yeah.
Couldn't talk to him, even though
Sounds like P. Diddy.
I'm 1 foot away from him as we're walking in.
Mhm.
I couldn't speak with him. I couldn't, we couldn't get pictures. We couldn't talk, nothing. He was, after every time they said cut, he walked quickly to get to his past camera to his people.
And that's a shame, bro, because
Yeah.
we hold him up to a pedestal that, you think like perhaps he's just this great guy, greatness all around. He's giving trucks away, gave his car
It's
away
all
to
for
somebody. It's all for publicity. Yeah.
It's like Oprah.
I knew it. Yeah.
car for you, car for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Scott Eastwood,
Nicest guy ever.
awesome dude.
You know his dad, he lives in Carmel, right? Like he has homes everywhere. But Carmel, he was obviously the mayor of
Mayor, yeah,
Carmel.
yeah.
Well, he kind of like owns a lot of the area. I hear
Mm-hmm.
he owns a lot. So he drives. I hear he drives from somebody who knows the family. He drives all the stunt cars and cars from the movies. He'll like drive like a random 1970 something. The El Dorado car
Right.
or whatever in the films, the different films, and he'll be driving like a 1985 car, just random. And we're like, that's just who he is.
Yeah,
And you would
yeah.
never imagine that, but that's kind of cool, man.
No, he's
Guys like in
just
his
a down-to-earth
90s.
guy. He's
Yeah.
just down-to-earth guy.
At this point, he doesn't need to direct
Yeah.
anything.
And
He's just
Scott is the same way.
Scott's the same way.
He's a super nice guy. I talked with him about 15, 20 minutes after we shot that
Yeah.
day. And yeah, he was just, and the
So
other
down
thing
to earth.
is like he is not taken aback by his father's
Right.
big shadow. He
Yeah.
respects it, he understands it, and it doesn't bother him. And because he knows that he's making his own way and
Right.
he's doing
Right.
it, and he's
The
really
trailblazer. He's
he's
blazing his own
getting,
trail.
yeah, he's doing his own thing. He's getting better.
Good for him,
Even though
man.
he you know, he has his father's name, people, you know, don't really care. You
Yeah.
know, they're taking him for him, and that's what's
That's
great
good, and
about
that's
him.
tough because
Yeah.
you're not only is he walking his own dad's shadow because of his looks. He looks a lot like dad, but he bears the name, and it's kind of like a real difficult thing to be able to isolate yourself,
Yeah.
and
But
you're
he's
always
doing
a,
it.
you're always attached or
Yeah.
tandem to
Yep.
it. Yeah, I'm glad, man. And
Yep.
so, wow, I don't know what time when you have to come back for part 2.
Yeah, I'll come back
Um,
anytime you want.
this is. Look, you're immortalized in this show in more ways than one. I'm super delighted once again to have had my boy Rich Sands here in the house. Let's give it up for Sands. So masterfully done, bro, and everything
Thank
you've
you.
done. I'm
Appreciate
nothing
it.
but the best. What are your social media handles so the world
Well,
can?
Instagram
That
is
would be your camera right here.
Instagram is at Rich Sands 1. X is Rich Sands Actor. Rich Sands on Facebook. You know, that's about it.
So another great epic show for the Sands of Time,
There you go. There you go.
guys. Thank you. Let's take it away. That's my show.